This is it, decision time. After the wildest campaign in living memory.
The best way forward is to pass the torch to a new generation.
It's been a bit of a whirlwind.
I grew up a middle-class kid.
We got a war going on and she's out partying.
It is clear he has become increasingly unhinged.
America chooses its next president. Harris is closing with star power.
Nice to see you, Kamala. It is nice to see you, Kamala.
What we need is a president who works for all of us.
I can't stand a bully, but just like Kamala, I always stand up to one.
Trump with firepower.
She's a radical war hawk. Let's put her with a rifle standing there with 9 barrels shooting at her, okay?
Democrats say Trump has a woman problem.
Donald Trump, you never see him around strong, intelligent women, ever.
Anti-woman, you're anti-abortion, and basically you're anti-American.
Trump says America has a Kamala problem.
Kamala broke it and I will fix it.
The current president says, well, I don't think even he knows.
These are the kind of guys you like to smack in the ass.
It's the final countdown. And from New York City, it's the final uncensored election debate. Well, here we are in New York City. It's election eve. And to say it is exciting here is probably the understatement of the millennium. And the bottom line is that the polling is so close, particularly in the 7 crucial swing states, that, as I said on X yesterday, anyone who thinks they know exactly what's going to happen here is talking baloney. Because anything could happen, given how close these polls are. It could be a Trump win, narrowly. It could be a narrow Harris win. It could be a Trump landslide. It could be a Harris landslide. Nobody knows. My gut feeling, which I'll kick off proceedings today, is I think Trump could win quite big, but I might be completely wrong. It would be a first, but I might. But let me introduce my stellar panel to debate all this. Katie Pavlich, editor of townhall.com, Fox News contributor. Francesca Fiorentini, the host of the Bitchuation Room podcast. Ashley St Clair, the political commentator and author of Elephants Are Not Birds. And Wajahat Ali, the host of Democracy-ish, and I finally pronounced your name correctly, Wajahat, because I took the liberty of asking you how you pronounce it, and you told me how your mother pronounces it, and we finally got there. After a year of Vajahat and Wajahat, it's Wajahat, and I apologise for not getting this right.
A for effort.
So we got there. Welcome to all of you. Katie, it looks to me like Trump, it's my gut feeling talking here, which talked to me in 2016. It was anecdotal based. I've been down in Florida and Texas doing crime documentaries, nothing to do with Trump. And I just got a feeling that he was going to win. I've got that feeling again, even though the polling is this close. What's your gut telling you?
Well, first of all, it's wonderful to be here again with you. I haven't seen you on a show since your CNN days. We've seen you at the 5 over at Fox, which has been great, but it's wonderful to be back. Thank you for having me. Yeah, so there's all of this polling, I would say an overwhelming amount of polling, and there's 2 big questions, I would say, with that. The New York Times poll came out over the weekend, and they admitted that they probably are wrong because they undersampled Republicans, specifically white Republicans, by almost 16 points. But on the other side, polling since the Dobbs decision has underestimated polling for Democrats and women getting out to the polls and voting on the issue of abortion. Now, anecdotally, you can walk around and feel, people are talking about it. We're in New York City this morning. I went on a walk and heard lots of people on street corners just talking about what's going to happen. When you look at what's happening in Pennsylvania, Michigan, Wisconsin, polling there, talking about the issues that matter, it's very difficult to think that 70% of the country says we're economically on the wrong track and that Kamala Harris would win, given that Trump is beating her on the economy by something like 20 points. So nobody really knows, but people feel that they know, and we will find out tomorrow.
Francesca, great to finally meet you. Yes. We've never met in person. Lovely to see you.
Are you going to interrupt me as much as you do virtually?
It's more difficult when you're sitting here because I feel a bit sorry for you. It'd be like seal clubbing or something. So I can't do that.
Okay.
Interesting poll out of Iowa, which shocked everybody at the weekend, where this historic poll, which is normally quite accurate, the woman who does this poll, came out with a bombshell report that said that Harris was 3 points clear of Trump in Iowa. There was another poll the same day that had Trump 10 points clear. But it certainly asked a lot of questions suddenly about the impact, potentially, as Katie said, of the abortion issue and women coming out to vote against Trump on that one specific issue in particular. What are you feeling about that?
Yeah, I mean, it's not an understatement or an overstatement to say a lot of people are voting for their lives right now. We know just this last week that 2 women in Texas died of miscarriages, preventable infections. They came in with an infection, ERs turned them away because they said, you still have a fetal heartbeat. Our laws say that you cannot get treated until that baby dies, and both of those women lost their lives. One of them was already a mother. The other one was very excited about becoming a mother for the very first time. So women are truly voting for their lives, and also for the judges. You know, this law, the Texas heartbeat law, had gone through multiple federal courts and met Trump-appointed judges at every single stage. So women aren't just voting for their lives, they are also voting to reclaim a certain amount of representation in our justice system.
Why, if you care so much about women's rights, and I'm not disputing that you do, or that it's a big issue, and for the record, I believe in a woman's right to choose, but let's put my cards on the table. But why, especially Kamala Harris, positioning herself as I'm the one for women's rights here? How do you equate that with what goes on, for example, in women's sport, which is so grotesquely,
there it is.
Which is such
a
a
how are they going to spin this to something so unrelated?
But it's not unrelated. Well, the reason I think it's important is that last week the United Nations came out with a report saying 900 women have been deprived of medals by trans athletes around the world. This is outrageous and an obvious direct attack on women's rights. How do you equate, never mind me, how do you equate being for women's rights but also for that attack on women's rights?
Because cis female athletes are not dying.
What does cis mean?
In your terms, women born
a woman.
women born female.
A woman.
Are not dying.
Hang on, let's just clarify.
They're
what you
not
mean.
being turned away from emergency rooms.
Do you mean a woman?
But
you mean a woman?
Wait, hang on, wait. Piers, here's the goalpost. Can you move it a little bit? Because
when people ask you what you are, do you go into a long?
Get it.
When people say what are you, do you go into a long speech about cis and things, or do you say I'm a woman?
Yeah, I say I'm a woman. But
right.
I'm telling you right
why
now
are we using the word cis?
that female athletes aren't dying at the rates that women are currently dying in places like Georgia, Amber Thurman.
Okay. But let me throw back at you.
Like Florida,
let me throw back
like
Let me throw back at you on that.
This is
interestingly, as we've come
people's lives are on the line.
Francesca,
I have a friend who, if she'd been in a red state, would have lost both her life and her 2 babies at the time. One of them, she was pregnant with twins. One of them had trisomy 18.
You're preaching to the choir.
You understand what I'm saying? Right now, women in red states where there are abortion bans are being forced to not only watch both of their babies' lives, if they are pregnant with twins, both of them die. Hang on, I'm finishing.
On this issue.
Watching both of them die
I'm going to let you correct that in a minute.
And potentially lose their own life. It's not malpractice when they're about to be sued $10,000.
Every single state that has some limit on abortion, also they allow you to save the life of the mother. They should do that. What your issue is malpractice and the doctor's not saving the life of the mother. They all have exceptions for that.
Will any of that bring back these women who've lost their lives?
Your issue is with the doctors, not with abortion laws.
My issue is with Attorney General Ken Paxton. My issue is with Republican lawmakers across this country who are ensuring that, for example, the Biden administration cannot enforce federal law that says you cannot turn away a woman at an emergency room who is going through an obstetric nightmare.
They already have that law.
Who is going into sepsis.
Exceptions to save the life of the mother.
I love that, like, in your little hypothetical world, all these exceptions save lives.
That is the law.
But
that is the law.
It's
that's
not the
hypothetical.
law.
That's the law. And the doctors.
It is the law. And Biden has tried to enforce it. And in fact, Ken Paxton and other federal Trump-appointed judges have blocked that law, federal law, from overriding Texas's heartbeat law, SB 8. Everyone knows this.
I'm
so in theory, my loves, in theory, darlings, it's all lovely when you say there are exceptions. It's all lovely when you say this or that is the law. However, in practice, women are losing their lives.
Okay, Francesca, again, Francesca,
so what do you want us to do?
Francesca, stop talking for 1 second, and I will simply point out again what I think is an inconsistency. You're very much wanting to protect women's lives, and yet today, before we came in here, a bombshell report out of France shows that Iman Khalif, who was the boxer from Algeria in the Paris Olympics, who won a gold medal, but who in one of the earlier rounds actually had an opponent who quit after 40 seconds because she'd never been hit that hard. Because it turned out that Iman Khalif, as I said at the time, is a biological male with male chromosomes and had male physiology. That report has now confirmed that today. And my question is, again, why do you not care about a boxer, a trans boxer,
because female athletes aren't dying,
who's far more powerful,
so they're just getting beat
who
up.
who might actually kill a woman in the ring? Why don't you care as much?
Because female athletes aren't dying.
Okay. So
and the
until
number
they do,
of Olympic athletes, Olympic female boxers that there are this much. Okay. But the number of women who get pregnant every single year are millions.
Do you know
and millions of Americans' lives
Men love abortion more than
right
anyone.
Now.
67% of women who get abortions, they say they feel coerced by a partner. You know who that partner is? A man. Men love abortion.
Well, let's go to the only man here, because I'm sure everybody is now
issue of abortion ever. Do you know how many women are coerced into
what does that
this?
mean? What does that mean?
Hang on, let me go to Wajahat. Let me ask you, just on a bigger thing. I think it's really interesting that you're seeing clearly there's going to be a big female turnout for Kamala Harris. Clearly there's going to be possibly an equally big, if not bigger, turnout of men for Trump. The question is, who can get more of each one out there? But the gender gap is unprecedented here. What does that tell you about this race?
So I brought Pepto-Bismol and Lactate for you, for your gut, to soothe it, and to level it with what's going to happen on Tuesday. And Trump is going down, not just on a microphone, the only job that he could probably do well. Sorry, too soon? He's the one who did it.
Quite funny.
He's the one who did it at the rally.
Let's be real.
And the reason why he's going to go down, it's something that I've been saying for 2.5 years, is America, and the GOP in particular, and this goes to your question, has underestimated the righteous rage of women, the majority of the population. Ever since Dobbs, which is the case, for those who don't know, that overturned Roe v. Wade, took away a woman's right to choose, I've been telling everyone, I said, wait for it, women, not just young women, older women. They're going to show up at the polls. You saw the 2022 midterms. You've seen all the special elections, and especially in Iowa. Check out Iowa. We just saw that Seltzer poll. It's an A+ poll, right? She's been doing it for years. She's usually bullseye, 9 out of 10. I was shocked. You know, Piers, I don't get shocked by much. When she came out yesterday and said +3 Iowa, and then you look at the tabs. Why +3 Iowa? Young women, but also overwhelmingly women above the age of 65. Why? Because they remember a day back in the day when women did not have equal rights, when their sisters, when their daughters, when their moms had to die because they could not get health care. And they're like, you know what? I don't want my daughter or my granddaughter to go back. We want to go forward. So this righteous rage of women is going to be felt tomorrow, Piers. I've been saying it on your show for a year. I believe, I'm going to say it in front of the camera, and if I'm wrong, I'm going to come back on your show. You give me crow, make sure it's halal, put some salsa in it, and I'll eat it. There you go.
You'll be getting full
Kamala Harris
crow.
is going to win. The X factor is going to be women, independents, Republicans voting against Trump, and people of color.
Can I just talk about the mechanics of this for a second? Because it's obviously an emotional topic. There are millions of women who are not voting on abortion. There are actually a ton of women who are voting on this issue of allowing grown men into their locker rooms and the safety of female athletes, not just on the field, but also the sexual harassment and potential sexual assault that they are put into a position to possibly receive as a result of these woke ideologies where men can just say that they're women, and all of a sudden you're forcing women with no consent to allow them into their previously safe spaces.
So and I don't understand why the left doesn't agree with that.
I smell something in the room. It's called desperation.
Let me just...
It's permeating the room.
It's, as someone whose family fought to have equal rights in female athletics, I don't think it's desperation. It's upholding Title IX and decades of work by women to make sure that women have equal rights and protections, and they're not exposed to men in their locker rooms. But in terms of the mechanics of this, when Dobbs was overturned, it returned this issue to the states, which is exactly what's been talked about here. It actually expanded democracy up to 50 states because now people can vote on the state level rather than having one vote on the federal level. Even if Kamala Harris were to win on the issue of abortion, she will have a Republican Senate, potentially a Republican House. She is not going to be overturning the Dobbs decision. She's not going to be passing any kind of abortion legislation federally. So this idea that people are voting on this and expecting some kind of change, they can vote on it based on their emotions and how they feel about it, but not much is going to change in Washington.
Well, they're going to vote down ballot as well, though. So I think that Republican politicians all down ballot should be running scared and have been running scared. They finally were chasing the car. They caught up with it, and now the car's clobbering them, and it's called women voting in America. But Piers, I agree with you. I want to say, I do think that it has been very wrong, and I think this campaign's gone kind of off the rails with like comparing Donald Trump to Hitler, and so I want to say I condemn anyone that makes those comparisons because I don't think they're fair. So will you join me in condemning anyone who compares Donald Trump to Hitler?
Yes, including J.D. Vance.
Yes, yes.
And is that what you're about to say?
Let's let's condemn Donald Trump for comparing Donald Trump to Hitler and saying he would like Hitler's generals. Can you join me in condemning Donald Trump for saying that he would like to have generals as loyal as
Here's the
Hitler's?
problem. Here's the problem.
Can you
from a mile away? It was so transparent.
Hang on, don't all talk over each other. Listen,
can you join me? Yes or
here's
no?
my answer.
Can you join me?
Here's my answer. Here's my answer, Francesca.
Can you join me in condemning anyone who?
Francesca,
I am. So why don't you stop? Why don't you stop?
Ask me a question.
Is this what?
Stop.
Again,
here's my point. Of all the ridiculous things to go after Trump about, calling him the new Hitler is the most self-harming thing the Democrats have come up with.
Yes.
Nobody with a brain thinks that he's the new Hitler.
100%.
Right?
So can you
so
join
why do
me?
it? So why do it?
So can you join me? Will you say here now that you condemn Donald Trump for comparing Donald Trump to Hitler? Yes or no?
I condemn people like you for only using the Hitler stick
people like
to
Donald
beat Trump with.
For saying that Hitler had some good ideas and that he wished he had his generals.
How many Jews has
Will
Donald
you
Trump
condemn
murdered?
Donald Trump?
How many? Let's get into Hitler.
I'm just saying, I think it's wrong.
How many? Francesca,
They have woke rabies and they just keep
Francesca,
and you can't
out of
stop
interest,
them.
how many Jewish people has Trump murdered?
No.
To justify the comparison to the biggest murderer of Jewish people in history.
I do think it's very fun that he's coddling up to people like RFK Jr., who said that COVID-19 could not infect the Jewish population.
And Richard Spencer just endorsed Kamala Harris. Like, what's
He
your
did that
point?
last time as well.
What's your point?
Listen,
let me on a serious point.
Sure.
I was wondering how long it would take.
So you can't condemn
hang
him,
on.
okay.
It's taken 15 minutes. For Hitler's name to be raised, right? And I just find this one of the more staggering, staggering aspects of this whole race has been the left's utter insistence on continually evoking the name of Adolf Hitler. Nobody who's on the independent side or moderate side of this thinks anything but that's disgusting when people do that.
Agreed.
Why do it?
Can I tell you why people are doing it? Nazis, Hitlers, KKK have trended more during Donald Trump's ascension than in my entire lifetime. General Kelly, four-star general who was his chief of staff, his former secretary of DHS, has said on tape, Donald Trump praises Hitler, praises Hitler's generals, and is a fascist. Donald Trump has
denied all
but
that.
wait.
Other people in the room have said he never said it.
So I'm going to
just for the record.
Yeah, I know. Just give me 30 seconds.
There is no tape. And you say it's on tape. Where is the tape?
General Kelly on tape admitted it. Also, we know that Donald Trump publicly has quoted Hitler by saying poisoning the blood of Americans, comparing immigrants
you think he's
to poisoning the blood.
deliberately quoting Hitler?
When he was told...
Do you?
Yes. When he was told Hitler's quote, he said, I didn't know, said it again.
Trump wears blue suits. Apparently, occasionally Hitler did. Is that a sign?
Okay, give me 20 seconds. Poisoning the blood. Bloodlines, bad genes, meaning with Nick Fuentes good German blood, being told afterwards Nick Fuentes, a white nationalist, refusing to condemn him. At the MAGA boat rally, you got people with swastikas and MAGA things, right?
White power signs.
Very fine people. Charlottesville.
Can I ask you
Piers,
seriously?
this is why people are saying this.
I do think it's preposterous.
I give you facts.
Can I seriously, you two, can I ask you genuinely?
Sure.
Do you think Trump wants to send his Jewish grandchildren to camps?
No.
Then why are you making these comparisons?
He wants to send Latino grandchildren into camps.
He has been the biggest...
He wants to do mass deportations. How do you feel
yes,
about
he does want to do mass deportations. I think they should leave the country the same way they came here.
So 11 million undocumented people should be rounded up and sent to... What do you think that will do to the economy?
Hang on, I'm doing this.
What do you think that will do to the economy?
With respect, I'm the moderator. You are a contributor, not moderator.
Ask her what you think 11 million undocumented people being mass
I'm going to
deported
ask
will do to
any
the American
panelist
economy.
what I see fit. Let me bring in Katie. You were saying, oh my God, and I kind of feel the same. It's like the moment we start debating the comparisons with Trump and Hitler, my heart just goes off.
It's
for God's
because you
sake.
can't condemn Donald Trump for
Your
comparing
name last
himself
time
to
I checked
Hitler.
isn't Katie.
You just can't do it.
Your name isn't Katie. Katie.
I think these comparisons are grossly disrespectful of what the Holocaust actually was.
Yes.
And to keep invoking it in this way is really just despicable and irrelevant to the current conversation, and it doesn't allow us to actually get to the issues that are affecting the American people. People are not voting based on these comparisons. They're voting on things like the economy and illegal immigration. And
those are by far the two biggest issues.
Correct. And the illegal immigration issue is not just one that Republicans have questions and feelings about. I mean, in New York City, they're completely overwhelmed by this problem. You're seeing this happening in cities all across the country. local law enforcement, healthcare, public services are being cut as a result of this. It's a resource management issue that has been caused by this administration's policies. And people are voting on it. And let's just look at the numbers here, going back to the facts and the data we have. The majority of the people in this country want a deportation program.
Thank you.
The majority of the people in this country want to have fewer illegal and legal immigrants as a result of them flooding the system. The majority of the people in this country feel like their goodwill has been taken advantage of, and that they're just expected to deal with their communities being overrun by the federal government without help, and then expected to pay for it in a number of ways: taxes, quality of life, etc. So those are the things that people are voting on. And when you have all this noise and the name calling on this issue, and the constant berating from the Harris campaign of trying to say that Madison Square Garden was a Hitler rally, I was there. It was not a Hitler rally. It was a very diverse crowd. And when you get into the justification and the comparisons, not only are you dishonoring the memory of millions of people who were murdered.
There was a Holocaust survivor there.
Exactly. You get into the weeds on this debate that is completely irrelevant to what has actually happened.
Wearing that Holocaust denial shirt that Jan 6 rider was wearing.
Do you want to talk about all the Hamas rallies you've seen over the course of the past year in our cities?
Is Hamas running for president?
They're rallying in our cities and calling for a Holocaust. If we want to get into that, we can.
Do you know who's coming out in large numbers and voting against Trump this week, which might be the tilt to Harris? Puerto Ricans. Puerto Ricans, listen to that. Wait, no, they haven't. Puerto Ricans, 450,000 in Pennsylvania, Piers, about 100,000 in Wisconsin. They heard what was said at that rally. You know this. You've been following it. In the past 2 weeks, they don't see it as a joke. Talk about emotions and feelings. They heard that.
I got to say,
they heard that, and they're like, "Oh, that's what he thinks of us." All right.
I have to say, I thought it was very stupid to have that guy.
Extremely stupid.
Who is a well-known...
And the room didn't laugh, by the way.
And the room
all the air went out of the room.
The room didn't laugh, but the truth is somebody on the Trump team booked him, and the very first thing he did
and
was
vetted his speech.
A large constituency in crucial swing states. That seemed to me a dumb decision.
And then Trump also said no big deal when confronted. He should have disavowed. He said no big deal.
Let me ask you.
Then he dressed up as a garbage man.
Hang on.
If you start disavowing
let me ask you.
Sure.
Let me ask you. Another dumb decision, it seems to me, and it could be proven or not by what happens.
Kamala Harris did something dumb.
No. I do think that in her desperation to try and play an interesting middle ground on the Israel-Hamas war, she deliberately didn't choose Josh Shapiro as her running mate, a guy that could almost certainly have delivered Pennsylvania, which it looks now, from all the polling, might well be the moment that one of these two wins the election. Do you think, with hindsight, she made a mistake in her VP choice?
No, I think it was very smart to go with Tim Walz, America's dad. I think it was a great compliment to Kamala Harris. I think Josh Shapiro, some people are trying to do the divide and conquer, but you have Jews themselves, like Chuck Schumer, leading Jewish American senator for Democrats, who said, nope, there's no anti-Semitism here. The reason why Josh Shapiro probably wasn't the best pick, and based on reporting, is once they met, Josh Shapiro didn't seem to vibe with Kamala Harris. Tim Walz said, I'll run through a fence for you. And she said, okay. And also with Josh Shapiro as an AG, they looked at some of the cases that he did. They thought it'd be too much baggage. With Tim Walz, no baggage.
Up the murder of a woman, by the
way.
There
you go. So that's what some people say. So that's why progressives say you might lose it. Too many question marks. You know what? I should go with Tim Walz, dad, Hunter, coach, Minnesota. Yes, much more so than J.D. Vance.
Katie,
Rich boy J.D. Vance, Peter Thiel's pet boy.
I was surprised.
I
thought Trump's choice of J.D. Vance has turned out to be a rather good choice. So listen, hang on a sec. I listened to J.D. Vance's Joe Rogan podcast. Really interesting, wide-ranging interview, including some very interesting exchanges between Rogan and him about all manner of issues. And I thought, yeah, he's a smart guy. I get it. And he's obviously probably a likely candidate to run for president himself. So I don't think that was a mistake at all. One of the things I'm surprised about, if I was Trump in the last 48 hours, I'd have been down on the southern border. I'd have been down there reminding people that Kamala Harris was the border czar. People to try to pretend she isn't now, but she was. This is how they called her on liberal media the entire time. I remember it. And there's been a catastrophic failure on her watch. Why do you think he's not gone for that optic of him on the southern border?
Because he's been doing that for 8 years. I mean, that's something that people know about him. They know that Kamala Harris was the border czar.
But in the last few days of a race?
He talks about in his rallies, but he's trying to, he has his base locked up. He has the people who are voting for him on immigration locked up. He's trying to go to these places to get these remaining last votes that he needs in Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, and Michigan.
Do you think Pennsylvania's the key?
He does not have to necessarily win Pennsylvania, but she does. So he has to take that away from her and take it off the board if he's going to get ahead of her.
Right, and Francesca, here's the thing. Look, on abortion, I agree with you. Okay, so it doesn't matter. I can't even vote. But the trouble, it seems to me, is, and Katie raised this point earlier, there has never been an incumbent candidate. All right, it's a little bit skewed by the fact she wasn't the actual incumbent president. She's the incumbent vice president. Never been an incumbent president where the polling against a crucial issue like the economy is so skewed in favour of her opponent who has ever won. Right? Now, the only reason she might win, and the only reason she's so close, is that the opposing candidate is Trump, who is so divisive. But if Trump was to win, I would say it was because actually the economy, cost of living, and immigration, where she is directly pegged to the failure on the border.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's incredible that so many people believe that buying a $100,000 gold watch will get them closer to being a billionaire like Trump, although, you know, it's waning with all the cases.
Kamala was wearing a $60,000 Tiffany necklace at the border.
The most effective thing I'm
saying? Here's what I'm saying. Actually, I like Donald Trump's policies.
Hang on,
wait,
let me include one more line.
No.
Trump has started doing at the start of every rally in the last 2 days.
Threatening Liz Cheney.
No, the same sentence where he just says...
Wanting to protect women without their will.
No. Same sentence. He says, do you feel better off than you did 4 years ago? And the answer is, for most average Americans, they do not feel better off. If he wins, I suspect that's why he wins.
I understand that. I think it's incredible that he would do that if he wins on the economy, when we know that he is personally bankrolled by billionaires, the likes of Peter Thiel, David Sachs, and other. Hang on.
She's not.
Can you? Let me finish. Let me
billionaires.
actually finish what I'm trying to say is. And Kamala Harris's policies, $25,000 down payment for a first-time homeowner. These are policies that put money in people's pockets, right?
Why hasn't she done it before?
The ability to add home care
Why
to
didn't
Medicare.
she do it in the last 4 years?
She was not president, and she was working alongside Joe Biden, for better or worse. But the ability for Medicare to cover home care for our aging parents, that's massive. If she were to deliver that for the American people, we would save hundreds of thousands of dollars every single person each year.
Okay.
So in terms of a wealth transfer, Kamala Harris's policies would put more money in working class people's pockets, and Donald Trump's would be a siphon
To
of
be clear, you don't think any billionaires are in
credit.
her
You
camp?
guys, Trump deserves some credit because I think his policies are bold. I think obviously they're appealing to the Joe Rogan extended universe and all the D-bags who are growing up very quickly and can vote at 18. However,
Whoa.
However, I will
all
say
young men are douchebags.
Yes.
Is that what you just
I'm
said?
saying the ones that are coming up and being very radicalized by your friends Andrew Tate, the sex traffickers.
Here's the problem with
on your network.
Have you got Be Nice in your profile on X? Is Be Nice in there? The hashtag?
Nice.
The hashtag. No, I'm not surprised. The thing about the left is, Wajahat, I'll bring you in here.
Sure.
Is that you all brand yourselves as the nice party.
Yeah.
You're the nice people. It's Trump's horrible, ugly rhetoric. But meanwhile, he's a Nazi, he's a fascist, you're all garbage. Every 18-year-old who's on the Rogan side is a douchebag. I mean, this is a kind of generalised
Piers
hateful,
Morgan, Mr.
which I find so utterly hypocritical.
Have you seen the comment section? These people are going to be going at me. Have you seen your own comment section? Do you know the kind of hatred that I get from appearing on this show? I'm just
when you call all
I'm
18-year-olds douchebags, I'm not surprised.
Have you guys seen
But I'm trying to tell
Has it
you.
crossed your mind you say hateful things that might annoy people?
Can I?
Like all 18-year-olds douchebags?
She says that and expects no pushback for something like that. She says that about
You're used to saying on your podcast, you say it, and everybody agrees with you.
Young men who are being sort of inculcated into the Andrew Tate, Joe Rogan world fast enough.
No comparison between Andrew Tate and Joe Rogan. No comparison at all.
No.
They do not espouse the same philosophies about almost anything.
Well, there's a certain
There
hyper-masculinity there. There's an excitedness there.
If you actually knew what you're talking about with those two, there is no comparison between Joe Rogan and Andrew Tate. Huh?
Also, exercise is like alt-right and scary
use
now.
the word bro,
Do you even
are
lift,
what, a
bro?
douchebag,
Oh
is
my
it?
I use the word bro all the time. What are you talking
take
about?
care of
No, what I'm
Wajahat, let me bring in the only man here.
Yes,
Wajahat, is it helpful to call every 18-year-old in America male a douchebag?
That is not what I am saying. I'm saying
you
that
literally said it. Roll the tape.
No, that's exactly. I'm saying that
That
is who Donald Trump is appealing to. He is not trying to appeal to women. And here's what I will say. I like his strategy. I like his strategy.
Hang on.
Can I let Wajahat, the only oppressed man on the panel, can you let him
so
speak?
Oppressed.
Just really quickly, I do think
No, you be quiet for a moment. Wajahat, you speak.
So I want to combine 2 points that you mentioned, right? And in all seriousness, I've never seen a campaign step on more rakes than Donald Trump has in the past 2 weeks. And I mean that sincerely, because you think about his final argument, right? Yours a gift there, right? You have a gift there where you can, I agree with you. I mean, I don't agree with it, but cynically, go to the border. Talk about the economy, right? Pretend you're a unifier. What does he do? Calls liberals sick, evil people, absolutely horrible, right? A person, he has a chance.
You not called his supporters garbage?
Wait.
Fascists?
Nazis? No.
Douchebags? What's the difference? My point is, Wajahat, there is no difference.
And
looking at Mr. across the pond as a nice, simple English man.
You said liberals are all nice. I will say this, and thank you for bringing my post. I'm not Michelle Obama. Michelle Obama said famously, infamously, God bless her, when they go low, we go high. I say, and I've always said, when they go low, you take out their knees, which is a legal UFC move.
Wow.
And I believe legal.
Wow.
No. You take out their knees. It's a legal. Wait. Legal UFC move. You take out their knees. When they go low, take out their knees. And by the way, calling the American people evil, stupid, garbage, right? These are all absolute scum. These are all Donald Trump's words. He has used in the past 2 weeks. Final thing I'll say. Last 2 weeks, your pitch to America, unify the people, bring the independence. You know what he says? I'm going to unleash the military and National Guard to my critics who are the enemy from within. Who used the word enemy from within? Francesca.
Oh, we're doing this again.
Hitler.
We're back to Adolf Hitler. Katie, let me ask you about Mark Cuban.
All facts, by the way.
Mark Cuban said you never see Trump around strong, intelligent women.
Yeah.
You've been around Trump. Last time I checked, you're a strong, intelligent woman.
Well, thank you very much.
I thought it was such a patronising thing to say.
It's not true. And if you have to lob that accusation, you're clearly desperate and looking for things to make an argument on when you don't have the facts or the data to back up your argument. I covered the Trump White House. Whenever you walked into the West Wing, it was teeming with women at the highest levels, senior advisors, also working moms. So the left says they care a lot about working women, except for when it comes to conservative women. This is a pattern that they have with attacking conservative women, and they don't like it when they are batting for the Trump team, for conservatives, for Republicans, when they oppose their ideas based on the facts and policy. They just want to say that they're stupid and unintelligent.
You know what else is teeming with women? Jeffrey Epstein's island that Donald Trump went to multiple times on Lolita Express, and in fact had a very close relationship with Jeffrey Epstein.
Win a presidential election as a campaign manager was Kellyanne Conway, and now you have Susie Wiles, co-chair of his second campaign this time around. There are plenty of strong, intelligent women around him, and unlike the left, they don't expect to get credit for being women. They're just doing their job and doing what the
Francesca, here's the thing. You know, you guys talk about the violent rhetoric that comes out of Trump's mouth, and some of it is very ill-advised, or sometimes it's plain ugly. I didn't like what he said about shooting over the media to get at him.
That was yesterday.
I know. You don't need to say that, Donald. Don't say it. I think it's unhelpful, and don't make people hate the media. They're doing their jobs. You may not like it, but it's part of the job. It's my view as a media person, right? But then, you know, just when you really want him to pop up again, there's old Biden, old Sleepy Joe, saying he wants to... They said the kind of guys like Trump and MAGA are the kind of guys you want to smack in the ass. He's the president of the United States, advocating physical violence against tens of millions of Americans. Is that advisable either?
I don't know. Tucker Carlson did say that sometimes daddy needs to come home and give you a good spanking. So maybe he's just speaking to what Tucker already wants.
Tucker is a president.
Address what he's
saying? Democrat president of the United States is advocating physical violence against tens of millions of Americans.
I will not
simply ask, is that helpful?
No, it's not. But here's what I will say.
Good.
We
have a point of agreement.
I like Trump's bold ideas. Abolishing the Department of Education so, you know, rural areas can't get access to, you know, schools and teachers shortages. I think that's great.
Do you think our education system is doing a good job, by the way?
RFK Jr. and the head of the CDC... Look, I've always said, let's make polio great again. I feel like all these woke DEI vaccines have taken away things like measles.
Do you agree with mass deportation?
It's time to bring it back.
Do you agree with mass deportation of illegal immigrants?
No, I do not.
Really? Why did you let Obama deport 3 million then?
I protested all of those years,
really?
Mr. Morgan. Yes, I did.
So he's despicable, Obama, right?
For doing those actions, absolutely.
Despicable.
Yes.
Good. Someone's will agree that Democrat presidents are despicable.
They can absolutely do despicable things.
Yeah. Despicable? What Obama did?
Deporter in chief, yeah. I thought it was a terrible policy.
He deported.
I thought it was terrible.
By far pro rata more than anything Trump ever did before.
Does he get enough credit from the right for doing it, who likes those policies?
You ask them, but I'm just simply saying you think he's despicable. I agree.
I think that aspect of his presidency is despicable. And I'll also say this: I do not treat politicians like my kings and queens and emperors. I don't bend the knees. I think 100%. What Donald Trump
You'd have to chop them off at the knees.
No. Legal. It's a knee bar. It's a knee bar. UFC for the bro. Yeah, I'm not the one. Listen, in all seriousness, the other reason why he's going to lose tomorrow, in addition to enraging women, is people have not forgotten, Piers. January 6th. They have not forgotten the violent insurrection.
The most violent day in history. They have not, the deadliest day in history.
Yesterday, Donald Trump, when I said, in all seriousness, when I said he has stepped on so many rakes, yesterday what did he say? I should have never stepped down. People remember the January 6th violent insurrection. People remember MAGA supporters defecating in the Capitol. People remember to this day this man has refused to concede that he lost.
You know what
People remember that he has refused.
You know what I saw? My city being burned down by BLM protesters.
I know you're gish galloping. Let me just finish.
I watched them burn it down.
There's two things, and this is why Republicans are painted in a corner, right? I feel bad for them. The people have come out and defend Trump. There's two things they can't defend. January 6th, Roe v. Wade. Those are two galvanizing factors, which is why I believe Kamala Harris, I'm going to say it in front of the camera, is going to win tomorrow. And if I'm wrong, he's buying me halal crow, which I will eat on your side.
Yes, I am. All right, Katie.
Halal crow.
It's amazing how the left gets to cherry pick the political violence. On January 6th, it was roundly condemned by the right.
Not by Donald Trump.
And previously, the left was willing to allow people out of their COVID restrictions in the summer when they were firing people and not allowing people to go see their grandmothers in their nursing homes when they were dying. But
Katie,
you were allowed to go.
You're allowed to go. I don't want to interrupt you,
but you are interrupting me.
No, but you're bringing up two ridiculous points.
Allow Katie to finish.
Why did January 6th happen?
Hang on. Sorry, Katie.
We had the most violent political riots in the history of America. Dozens of people killed, businesses destroyed, cities completely hollowed out, and they still have not recovered.
When was that?
And yet, in the summer of 2020, and when President Trump tried to do something about it, the left protested and said these people they're doing it for the right political reason, and therefore it's allowed. And so if we want to talk about political violence and the toll it's taken on the country, we can, but that's not the issue that's happening today, right now. It's interesting that Washington, D.C. has been boarded up yet again. And it's not because if Trump wins, or if Kamala Harris wins, there'll be riots. It's if Trump wins. And they started this the day of his inauguration, when they burned down the cities, when they torched a limousine that was owned by an immigrant working in the city. So the political violence is justified so long as it's coming for the right reason, according to the left. But then they just want to focus on January 6th and not condemn their own side.
You don't have to do this. Can I just say this? This is going to be. This is for posterity. I'm just offering. You don't have to do this.
I don't need your
this
offers.
is for posterity.
I appreciate that.
You know, it's something about integrity, something about honesty, something about you actually having some credibility. You just said that on television. It's going to be there forever. So do you really want to go down that road and talking about?
Are you talking to me like what are you saying?
No, I'm trying to help you. January 6th, Donald Trump. No, I'm just offering. I'm not like Donald Trump. I'm not going to protect you even if you don't like it. I'm not Trump. I'm not going to protect you even if you don't like it.
Questions, and I don't need you talking down to me about what
I'm not Donald Trump. I don't talk down. I don't grab women by the feet.
Let me ask you this.
I'm saying that just to appease to Trump and the Republican Party, I've seen Republicans. When I was at CNN, Piers, like you back in the day, in the green room, I will share with the people. There were people I used to debate with, right? Republicans, right? They told me in the green room, I don't know if they told this to you, I hate Trump. I can't stand him. Then we get on front of the camera because their bread is buttered by the right wing. You know, it is what it is. They used to go on with a straight face, contorting their face. Alison Stewart, who passed away, who was very lovely.
Oh, that's so nice of you to bring her up, even though she can't defend herself.
She's really the one. She literally was the one I used to defend all. I'll say this, Piers. Look, every single Republican that you saw me debate on CNN, except two. Paris Denard was a true believer in the green room. He was the only one, actually, and also Jeffrey Lord. Every single other person in the green room said, I can't stand this guy, but I got to go support him.
Tucker Carlson said the same thing.
Oh, also, guess who? Ben Shapiro. Also, look at all the tweets.
You don't have to like someone to vote
Ted Cruz.
Kamala Harris called Biden a racist, and then
Ted Cruz. So that's what I'm saying.
But Francesca, let me ask you a question about this.
Yes, sure.
What if you lose?
Yeah.
Right? Because last time, nearly 10 million more Americans voted for Trump than the first time round, despite 4 years of apparently the worst presidency in history. If this trend continues now, and he gets enough to get himself over the line, perhaps even wins a popular vote, as some of the polls showing he might, what are you going to do for the next 4 years? I mean, he's literally the new Hitler, you think? So is that the end of America?
I don't think he's the new Hitler, but I will,
is it the end of America?
In all seriousness, no. But I do think it is quite alarming when the Supreme Court has given immunity, presidential immunity, to obviously Biden now, but also Donald Trump, and specifically in the case of whether Trump's actions on January 6th rose above the law effectively, and it was okay for him
At the moment,
to
the
break
only
it.
crime that you've managed to successfully get Trump convicted of is shuffling, not you, the left, is shuffling a bit of paperwork over an alleged one-night stand with a porn star 19 years ago. Sorry if I don't look at this and go, is that it?
Piers,
that's all you've been able to achieve?
24 jury members in 2 separate cases found him guilty both of sexual abuse and, yes, of falsifying business records. Now, here's what I want to say in all seriousness, and I'm serious.
But you don't go after Bill Clinton.
This is not a bit. This is not a bit. But
Bill Clinton pays Paula Jones $850,000.
I just want to respond to what you were saying.
Hang
on. Let me just respond to what you were saying. In the next 4 years.
Yeah. What will you do if he's president?
Guys, I truly think, and I say this in like legit seriousness, I do think these are dangerous times.
Yeah.
And I think that no matter who wins, we're going to see definitely street protests, which I support as long as they are peaceful on either side. If it's the right, absolutely, everyone has the right to exercise their First Amendment rights, like just point blank. But obviously, I am very concerned, especially at state election boards, where a lot of right-wingers have been poised to contest the election on a local level, on a statewide level, outside of their election boards.
And you don't think the Democrats have lawyers lined up if they narrowly lose?
They do.
You don't think so?
They do have lawyers to contest. If,
Let me tell you, the Democrats will have just as many lawyers ready and waiting. If Trump edges this narrowly,
but do
they
have
will
militias?
be trying everything in their power to try and prove that he
no,
didn't
they don't.
win.
There are not
they will.
Armed
Kamala
people
will not incite a violent insurrection.
But
and also, can I say to Francesca's point?
Incumbent upon you to try and simmer down some of this rhetoric, it's really just when it all goes off the rails.
All right.
And I think there's a responsibility that this show has to actually temper some of that, because we're going to see a lot of it.
I hate the violent rhetoric on both sides.
Months.
I hate the violence on both sides.
I understand. I'm just making sure that you take it seriously.
But I would say, you mentioned Kamala Harris, right, about whipping up a certain sentiment amongst people. Kamala Harris's tweet about Jesse Smollett being lynched is still there. She's never deleted that.
Here's the goalpost. Let's move.
Well, actually, no. This is a woman who may be. This is a woman who may be president of the United States literally within a few days, right? And she's allowed a tweet, which is an absolute lie, about a fantasist, a self-aggrandizing fantasist who wanted to improve his standing by inventing a lynching from MAGA supporters.
Are you talking about Jesse Smollett in the year 2024?
No. I'm just saying her tweet about him, Wajahat, is still up there. Should she delete that tweet?
So I will say this. I will answer all of that. If that tweet is up there, I don't know about it. She should delete it.
Thank you.
Number 2, I think Donald Trump has to accept he lost the 2020 election.
I agree.
I think he has to accept.
He did lose it.
He did lose it. He's been asked repeatedly, will you accept if you lose 2024? He's refused to answer it. And what I will say with utmost seriousness, this isn't Mitt Romney. This isn't John McCain. This isn't George W. Bush, right? Wait. There were Republicans. There were Republicans. There's a reason why Mitt Romney, John McCain, their families are not supporting Donald Trump. Mitt Romney has to spend his personal money, folks, for security detail for his family.
Yeah.
Do you know who he said the threat is from? Not liberals, not Kamala Harris supporters, MAGA. So this is where we are. I think Donald Trump is a singular threat to this country.
From the left all the time.
And I think he's bad for Republicans. And I think he's bad.
And yet, oddly, oddly,
they love him.
Hang on, oddly, until January 6th, which I thought was disgusting.
Good.
And I do think that Trump has to hold responsibility for the rhetoric used that day. Okay, but until that moment, actually, in his 4 years as president, oddly, there wasn't all this mass violence that you all fear is going to happen. It actually wasn't that dangerous. He didn't declare war anywhere. He actually killed the leader of ISIS. He killed one of the top Iranian commanders. He didn't go and invade anywhere like the Democrats love to do when they're presidents, right? And he also, none of the kind of apocalyptic warnings about Trump were true. The best thing you could come up with was that he had this Muslim ban. Well, he banned people from coming in from 7 countries that had been on Obama's own ban list of people coming into the country. So my point is that all the apocalyptic warnings about Trump did not manifest themselves in his first presidency.
2 things happened.
January 6th is an outlier to that, and I thought it was disgusting. And absolutely, the transfer of power must be peaceful, and it must happen. But until that point, I looked at it, where is this great fascist dictator?
Can I say one quick thing? COVID happened. People forget. Over 500,000 Americans died during Donald Trump's presidency. What we found out from Bob Woodward's quote, and Donald Trump is quoted, is he knew it was a threat, Piers. He lied about it to downplay it because he knew it would hurt him in the elections. So even though he knew it was a risk, he told America what?
What should he have
Open
done?
up.
What should he have done?
Been honest with people, promote the science, actually help get the PPP
But what do you
production.
think he should have done?
Be honest with people.
No, what should he have done?
What I'm telling you, be honest with people.
Never mind that. What should he have actually done that he didn't do?
He should have invoked the Defense Production Act to get the PPP in the hands of healthcare professionals.
Actually, globally, America has a very good record on PPE in the pandemic, particularly compared to my country, which was a total
Piers,
basket
more
case.
people died in America than in any other country. There was a promotion of anti-vaccine and anti-science conspiracy. He knew the truth. He lied to people. He told people to inject bleach. I'm
That
going to say
was
in the
terrible.
camera,
I agree.
inject bleach. And also...
That was terrible, I agree.
And also, listen, he gave the type of equipment before to the American people. Who did he give the equipment to? Who did he give it to? Not
Russia.
the American people.
he sold it
Putin.
to
Yes. Not sold it. He gave it.
All right, let me bring Katie in. Let me bring Katie in for let Katie respond to
On the
that.
issue of COVID, Donald Trump proposed a ban from China, flying people in from China. He was met with great resistance from Nancy Pelosi, who went down to Chinatown in San Francisco and said he was being racist and xenophobic and he shouldn't shut the country down. Bill de Blasio in New York City did the exact same thing. So that was the first thing. There are more people who died from COVID under Joe Biden's presidency than Donald Trump's presidency.
And in care homes in New York from Andrew Cuomo, who last time I checked was a Democrat.
The Democrats didn't want to open up the country, causing severe generational gaps with education. They forced people to take a vaccine, which we all then learned from the CDC wasn't actually going to prevent the disease, fired people over it. And so...
I mean, to be honest, I think COVID to me, look, I would say this. I don't disagree with, look, you both make good points. I think we're kind of done with COVID, right? I think, Francesca, my question for you would be this, is where was the evidence in those 4 years of the fascist dictator, that you all want us to now believe is about to be potentially re-elected?
I don't want to believe that, obviously, but you look at some of the plans under, let's say, Project 2025.
But what did he do first time round?
Can I explain? Let me just explain.
I don't see it.
Okay, so let me just tell you. So remember, in 2020, as a lot of people on the right think, they were nothing but riots, people protesting the murder of an innocent man, George Floyd, right? Obviously, his murderer was found guilty, and people took to the streets on it.
And committed acts of appalling violence, and people died.
Actually,
a lot of people did. Whole cities were being burned to the ground.
Do you know what was happening in Portland?
Whole cities were not burned to the ground.
Piers Morgan,
the overwhelming majority of those
They were mass.
Let me explain.
Riots, including.
Okay.
All right, there were mass riots.
Let me just get my sentence out before and finish it. In places like Portland, that I know everyone thinks is just a wild bastion of lawlessness, however, there were federal agents in unmarked cars lifting protesters off of the streets and arresting them. That was under Donald Trump. There was a man. His name was Michael Reinl. He did...
What about the violence?
Hang on.
What about the violence?
He did kill...
But Francesca, what about all the violence?
Let me finish my
sentence.
sentence.
What about all the looting? What about all the setting fire to buildings?
He was killed by a federal agent and never saw his time in court, unlike Kyle Rittenhouse, who did get a fair shake in court. And I'm telling you, because the federal... Piers, if you're going to ask me a question and not listen to me, his name was Michael Reinl. He was killed by federal agents because he killed someone from the Patriot Prayer.
Right.
Instead of seeing his day in court the way Kyle Rittenhouse did, they took him and summarily murdered him. That's called extrajudicial killing. And it happened under Trump. On the war and peace, he increased drone strikes by 400% in the Middle East.
You know the biggest drone guy of all time? Barack Obama.
Can you shut up and let me finish
Not
a
really.
sentence?
You're so vile.
You asked me a question and you don't let me finish.
No, I do, but you answer for about 20 minutes. I
No.
want to drag us to
He dropped the mother of all
2024.
bombs on Afghanistan and he increased the war on Yemen.
Obama dropped the most bombs of any president in one calendar year. Well, you're wrong. You're spouting nonsense.
But Piers,
Obama dropped the most bombs. He ran the most illegal drone programs. He deported most illegal immigrants.
Is it heavy?
What?
Just all the water that you carry for
She
Donald Trump?
practices this in
It's a silly argument.
Just put it down.
I like criticizing both of you
you've got
sides.
the upper body strength to hold it all. Just
I know
put it
you
down.
don't. I know you don't.
No,
Let me.
you said lifting is fascist.
Actually, hang on.
So
Actually, let me bring you to 2024 if I can.
Thank you.
We've had a little bit of a regression back into the past. Ashley,
you ask a question and you don't want to hear the answer.
Please be quiet.
Ooh, Ashley's getting a question. Okay, I'll shut up.
Ashley, if Trump loses tomorrow, what do you think the reason will be?
Because not enough men turned out to vote. Men are a particularly disenfranchised demographic. 10 million less men vote than women every year. And I think for whatever reason, we really haven't made a good appeal to men, particularly, to vote. Kamala Harris knows this as well. I noticed when I was driving through Pennsylvania, for the first time, white men were back in advertising and they were on the Kamala Harris billboards. But I do believe it would be because we did not turn out enough of the male vote. And I think that's it. I think people are hurting. I think people know that they were better off when Trump was in office. I think they know what has happened at our southern border is a disaster. And we're not really going to have a country or much of the West if this continues.
And conversely, if Trump was to win, why would you think he'd win?
Because of the economy and immigration. I think not only here, but across the West, in Europe, they're also seeing the devastating effects of immigration. It is also a women's rights issue. We're seeing sexual assaults increase rapidly across Europe because of the illegal immigration coming across, because of the mass amount of people that are being imported from other countries, from countries who don't have a concept of what that is, of what rape is. So I really think it's going to be the economy, immigration. I think that's going to win a election.
Same question to you. It's quite an interesting way of looking at it. If Kamala loses, why do you think she'll lose?
She's going to win the popular vote. She'll only lose to the Electoral College, probably Pennsylvania. I don't think she will. And it'll probably be because just what happened in 2016 with Donald Trump. He won by mustache hair, about 40,000 votes across 3 states.
Said a whisker.
A whisker, yeah.
Oh, that was 2020.
Yeah, the 2016, a whisker. I believe she's got the independents. If you look at the early data, early voting, early polls, momentum, independents are breaking for her. Latinos are pissed. As of the last 2 weeks, I wasn't trying to be cheeky when I said he's stepped on brakes.
But a lot more Latinos are currently polling voting for Trump than did last time.
Yeah,
and Black Americans.
Yeah, but wait. Like we said last time on your show, my prediction, let's find out on Tuesday night, is those numbers will regress to the medium. She'll get the numbers of black voters, black male voters, Latino male voters. I know Republicans want those male voters to come out. I don't think they will. If she wins, which I think she will, it will be due to women, independents, young people, people of color, and also what's fascinating in Iowa, in some of these swing states, is she's winning more white men than Biden did. I think people are sick and tired of Donald Trump. I think he's the oldest person. He's a criminal.
Well, a lot of people are, and a lot of people aren't.
Yeah, but I think he's been on for 9 years. You know, I feel like there's something about, people talk about feelings, emotions, and elections. They see Kamala like something different.
Yeah, here's the thing,
something
though.
different.
Something new.
For 4
But
years.
that's the thing. Here's the trouble. It's
Black Indian woman.
It's very hard to position yourself as the change candidate when you are the vice president of an administration for the last 4 years.
Female president.
All right, Katie, hang on. Katie, for you, if Trump was to lose, what would you say would be the reason why?
I would say the ground game for the Democrats has been more organized and better structured in the places where they need it the most. And Kamala Harris has had the benefit of having a short-term campaign.
And a lot of money.
So she's been able to not be out there explaining what her exact positions are, keeping things very vague because the time period has been very truncated. She's able to do a message to Michigan voters that is quite different than a message she's done with Pennsylvania voters and get away with it because there's not as much time for her to be vetted over the course of a year in a normal election. So that's what I would say about that.
And if Trump wins, why?
People are easily comparing and tying Kamala Harris to Joe Biden as the incumbent. There's a reason why she hasn't fully endorsed Joe Biden's economic policies, because people are dying from inflation. Things are way too expensive, and they see her as 4 more years of the previous policies, especially since she's been asked repeatedly what you do differently, and she can't say a single thing when it comes to what she would distance herself with
Joe
Biden on the economy. So the economy, illegal immigration, and it's just an easy comparison. Trump's first presidency was not that long ago. People compare it to the last 4 years. That's what he's probably going to win.
Francesca, for you, if Kamala, the unthinkable happens, and Kamala was not to win by a landslide and loses, why?
I think that fear sells, sadly, and I think that sometimes, sadly, Trump will have convinced.
You don't think she's been spewing fear about Trump?
Bruh, let me answer a question.
Sis, do you not think that the fear's been coming mainly from their end?
No.
That he's the new Hitler, a new fascist, the world's going to end?
Let's talk about Epstein. You haven't asked me about Epstein. Let's talk about
Epstein. I don't give a damn about Epstein.
Apparently they shared girlfriends. Michael Wolff said there's naked photos of Trump with underage girls, and apparently there was a stain on Trump's pants.
Okay, can we just...
Was that in Epstein's vault?
Can you get back to the question?
Was that in... Do you think that was in Epstein's vault when the Trump's FBI raided Epstein's home?
If Kamala loses, why would she lose?
What was in the vault?
Otherwise, you won't get a chance to answer.
I'm not going to. You're interrupting me all the time.
I don't want to talk about Jeffrey Epstein. Sorry.
Well, I wasn't talking about Epstein. Then you interrupted me, sir.
Right. Can you answer my question?
So, if she loses, why?
When I come on your podcast, you can ask me about Jeffrey Epstein as much as you like. But now, I
Will
wanted to ask about tomorrow's election.
Talk about Epstein?
If Kamala loses, why?
She will. I think she will have lost because she, I think, cut the progressive base out from under her. I think Joe Biden in 2020 actually made a lot of overtures to the Bernie Sanders base, and I have not seen as much of outreach from Kamala Harris to the progressives, and specifically Muslim American voters and anyone who does not want to see more bloodshed in the Middle East. I think, honestly, that would be my answer.
And if she wins, why?
And if she wins, it's because we believe in health care for all people, and that includes women, and especially pregnant women who want to be parents, who want to have families, and who want to be safe in so doing.
But men can still play in women's sport, as far as you're concerned. Nothing unfair or unsafe about that.
So there was a stain on his pants. Isn't that disgusting? Do you think there was a photo in the vault
Your
of
refusal
Epstein?
to answer the question says it all.
Every time you talk about trans athletes, I'm going to tell you about Epstein.
That's fine.
This
you can
is
talk about Epstein as much as you like.
Okay,
I think
and you can talk about trans athletes as much as you like.
Disgusting pedophile.
Trans athletes are,
two
and they were good friends. They were good friends.
Let me just try and look. The election is tomorrow,
and female athletes aren't dying.
Are you all American citizens?
Yes.
So it's a big day for America tomorrow, big day for American citizens. I'm not an American citizen. I have a home here, but I'm not a citizen. I would like to end on a moment where we all come together and we wish each other a happy election day and may democracy be the winner. Can we all agree on that?
That feels so Hunger Games.
Of all the people, I was expecting you to be.
I can't even get agreement on that.
Yes. We are a republic, not a democracy. Though I appreciate your sentiment about election day.
Got it. Well, you're a Democratic
So
republic.
can I say this? If Kamala Harris loses, I will accept that she loses. I will not incite a violent insurrection.
Okay.
I will not promote lies. And I will do whatever I can in the next 4 years as an American citizen, peacefully, like I've always done my entire life, to resist what I think is an authoritarian Trump administration.
By
I think
taking out their news.
No. I think it'll be terrible for our freedoms. I think it'll be terrible for the economy, for the healthcare. I think it will really hurt Trump voters, middle class, low income, white men, rural communities.
You know my prediction: if Trump wins, he won't be as bad as you lot fear, and he won't be as good as he'd like us to believe. And that is the reality of what I suspect will happen, a bit like his first term. Thank you to my panel.